I remember seeing I believe it was a political poster, and it was a ballet dancer putting her ballet shoes in a bag, and it was essentially saying that don't. I remember the poster vividly. It was essentially a poster saying, "Don't chase your dreams. Go for the normal. Find the normal job. It's too hard to chase your dreams." And this is aimed at adults. What
Yeah.
are the things that you see that are almost automatically aimed at kids that stop them from chasing the astronaut dreams that we all heard our mates say at school and those kind of things?
I think for me, the personal one I had was football. So when I was 14, I had trials with Southampton. I went to a soccer school and had trials with them and come back, didn't get through. And I remember my dad saying to me, he's just like, there's no sort of future for in football. It's so hard to get into, and it's like pummeled into me. Like it's so hard to make it. You're not going to make it. You need to think about other options, focus on your schoolwork. And I gave up football. Like at that point, I gave up football for a few years, concentrated on my schoolwork. I didn't do amazing in school. I wasn't academic at all, really. And then I went back. It got to a point where I was like 19, 20, I think it was. And I was like, I really miss playing football. Just inquired to a couple of clubs. And I went training for a team who were in a county league. It was in a Div 3 county league. And I signed up and I was playing for them like 2 weeks later. And then I played up till last year. Um, and there's a lot of me now that thinks like, well, what if I just stuck at it? Um, and I think that's a lot of the time. Like, I understand as parents, like we want our kids to be realistic because we don't want to see them get hurt, disappointed, or let down. But I'd always have you consider that your kids need to fail, and that's the only way they're ever going to learn. You just need to. I always say, like, I give my kids enough rope to trip themselves up, but not enough to hang themselves. And that goes across the board with whatever they're doing. Like I always say to my kids, like, I want you to go out. I want you to go out and seek failure, because if you're not failing at stuff, you're not even trying, because you can't. If you're not failing at anything, you're not even trying. And then on the other end of that is you never really truly fail either. You either win or you learn.
I love that. Yeah. All these little reminders and things that we can take from this podcast today already. And I think the thing as well here, I'm no parent, but I've seen my like close friends, family members, of course, bring up children around me. And you always see the ones, and obviously there's no disrespect, everybody's parenting styles are different, right? The the lads want to let their sons, let's just say, climb the wall and maybe fall off, let them fall off so they learn that lesson.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
then you also see the parenting style that they won't even let them go anywhere near the wall. And
yeah,
actually, the the child that falls off the wall is the one that picks up the lesson of looking after themselves and what not to do
yeah,
next, rather than somebody that may learn that lesson a little bit later down the line. The other thing that I'll add into this little bit of chat now as well is the parenting styles that are currently being created in modern day society. So sure, it's something that you're seeing a lot of in terms of like the holistic style of parenting, where emotions and there's talk of emotions and why you feel certain ways and how that can make other people feel without any form of action on the end of it. But then
yeah,
also on the front of parenting and just growing up in the 21st century in general, and how much screen time is almost enforced on children, and the lack of, I guess, outgoingness is like, or lack of adventure, so to speak, that
yeah,
maybe me, yourself, and I would have had to have gone and found. I mean, I'm a little bit younger than you, but still, at the end of school, I'd have always wanted to go out and play football with my pals rather than sit on Fortnite.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
that something that you're seeing a lot of in the education system that you're?
Oh yeah, yeah. You hear of it a lot. So going back to what you said about the climbing the wall thing as well. Um, I can't remember where I read it now. I saw a post and it is so true. Like the two types of parents, you've got two lads wanting to climb a tree. One parent saying, "Don't fall, make sure you don't fall, make sure you don't fall." And he was so focused on the fact he didn't fall, he fell off the tree
Mm,
because that's what he's had drummed into him. Where the other one climbs the tree, and as he goes to climb, Dad just said, "Hold on tight." So what do you think he remembered the whole time he's climbing the tree? Just
hold
hold on
tight.
tight.
Yeah.
And there was that, just those two examples there show that you can give the kids the tools just by the way you word things. Like, you know, my mum was like, even now, she's the biggest warrior in the world. And it was so, it's honestly, mate, like, I think if she had her way, she would have wrapped us up in bubble wrap. But me and my
I
brother,
feel you. I've got a mum that's similar. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so like me and my brother always out. We're always like, we had like a little, like, next to our house, our family home, we had like a small like woods, and me and my brother in there all the time, like making like little nature boxes of like loads of bits and climbing trees, like proper lads as kids, like jumping off walls on BMXs and all sorts, just doing crazy stuff. And like that ultimately gave me the outdoorsy that I am now. And I think it's so important. So going on to what you were saying about like the Xbox and stuff like that, I don't think we always talk about COVID and stuff like that, but I think that had such a massive impact. And I see that in kids in school now. Like a lot of the time, they don't know how to socialize. It's almost like they miss that whole. There's a lot of kids that miss that transition from primary school into secondary school. You know, they got dropped straight into like year 8 or whatever it may have been at the time. And they lack those social skills. And you can see it like in some of the schools that I go in now, there's year 6 lads that are acting like kids from like year 4. Like
Mm.
it's almost like they're really immature for their age. And I'm thinking, guys, you're going to be stepping up into year 7 next year. Like you're going to be in for a massive wake up call. And I think a lot of it comes down to this like this missed period of like the socializing. And then that's where the electronic side of things has come in more, because everything was done electronically. They were being taught from home on Zoom calls. They weren't allowed to go outside. And so everything was done fun-wise, was done indoors or done in the garden. You know, if people don't have gardens or live in blocks of flats, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to sit there watching TV or playing a computer or on their phone or whatever it may be. And I think that's had a massive impact. Like it's almost like we've forgotten how to be kids sometimes. And it's so important.